Hey everybody, Ryan here with Ray's Latest, and we're just going to dive straight into a lot of these things that I've been seeing. And the kind of rumor mill has been, after winter meetings this week, have been heating up real big. And kind of a lot of names I've been seeing are kind of tied with Tampa Bay. So I'm going to jump straight into it. The Houston Astros have started to kind of take a liking to Shane Baz. And I don't necessarily, I wouldn't mind trading him away, and he's got a projected salary of 3.1 million in his second go of arbitration, and he's kind of battled some injuries. He was out all of 2023, and from a statistical standpoint, it hasn't been bad. 2024 was by far his best year. He pitched at a 3, but this past season he pitched at a 4.8. He went 10 and 12, 166 innings, and 176 strikeouts. So it's kind of right at that 1K per nine, a tad bit higher, but nothing that's going to kind of skew that K per nine number there. Only 64 walks in 166 innings. So the K to walk ratio, it's almost 3-1, which is what you want to see. A little over, probably about 2.8 to 1, which is good. And there is a player on the Astros that I kind of have a particular liking to that I would like to see in kind of a return back from Shane Baz, and that's Junior Diaz. And the reason why I say this is we need catching help. The catchers we have on the 40-man on roster have really kind of been hit or miss, and mainly miss from a hitting perspective. And Diaz, he's a career 279 hitter. So he's a career 280 hitter. And last season he hit 20 homers, had 70 RBIs, struck out 95 times. So with 139 hits. So that's a major upgrade just right off the rip from a catching perspective. Now defensively wise, it's all about the same. And having him with that bat, a 280 hitter from a catching spot would be fantastic. And I don't think a one for one would get it done. I think a prospect might have to be in there maybe, or kind of a player to be named later, something along those lines, maybe a little bit of cash considerations in there. But I think if Baz were to kind of get shipped away, I think that would be kind of a potential return that we'd be looking for. And I know with the signing of Mats this week, it's interesting to kind of see what our rotation would look like. But realistically, it would be McClanahan, Rasmussen, Mats, Pepio, and then you pick or choose whoever else you would want to throw in on that fifth spot. And I know that's what we've been looking for is kind of back end inning help. And Baz kind of being that number 3 guy, probably more number 4. I would say Pepio's kind of outgained him in pecking order of the rotation, in my opinion. So I think getting rid of your 4th starter for a starting catcher that has proved himself to be good with the bat, I think it's a really good deal. And I think that it would be something that Neander and company would be really interested in, and I would also be interested in, kind of just nullifying all of those question marks that we have at the catching position. And you can find a guy in your organization, or you can sign a guy that can be your 5th starter and kind of comparably put up the same numbers Baz has been putting up. And I think if that's the case, I think it's a no-brainer. I think you should do it. And I've also kind of seen Baz and Pepio both rumored to the Diamondbacks. And that has me kind of interested on the Ketel Marte front once again. So I think the rumors are heating up. I think that every single day it's more Marte's going somewhere, and it's a lot more of Tampa's really interested. They need starting pitching. We've got starting pitching help. And now I know Ketel Marte is a dude. He's unbelievable, and I think that he's on a very club-friendly contract. He's got a lot of control with the Diamondbacks on a cheap contract, so it's going to take a decent amount to get him. I'm pretty certain of it. So I think that's where you could kind of see a Baz or Pepio, not a Boz and Pepio, and maybe like a Boz and a Brandon Lau for Ketel Marte, I think that would get it done. And the reason why I say this, and I know that that's a lot for Rays fans to kind of accept. I think that's more of just getting the Brandon Lau out of the way, kind of just get that elephant in the room. Yes, losing Brandon Lau, who's been a Ray his entire life, would suck. But I think that Rays fans just kind of going to have to accept that if he puts up another year like he did last year, this year, we're not going to be able to afford him. And I think that being able to get a haul out of him, and we still have to try to extend Caminero. And I know he's got under control for 5 more seasons, but you want to get him early. He has his great year, kind of like what we did with Franco and what Anthopoulos does in Atlanta. It's, hey, Michael Harris, you played fantastic, and he's only declined since then, in my opinion. Ozzy Albies and Acuna all the same way. Like, hey, you guys in your rookie years were fantastic. I'm going to give you a long-term deal, but it's going to be for about $10 million a year. And of course, the Braves have more money than Tampa does, but it's around those same lines of like Acuna's on a 10-year, $80 million contract. I'm pretty sure. Like his annual value is really low comparative to who he is. So I think that's kind of how the Rays are going to have to start attacking these things, and especially with the Franco, 10 years, $180 million, where it's, yeah, we're going to give you $18 million a year, but in 3 years when we can't sign you again because you're a $40 million player, you're a switch hitting shortstop with power from both sides, you have a great glove, and it's one of those things where Caminero, he broke the rookie home run record. He hit 40-plus homers this year, and it's like, yeah, he played in a minor league park. You got to sign the guy. Like, you really do. And you got to get ahead of the curve there, because if he puts up another year like this, his agent's going to be like, hey, you know, taking the early offer once you get it is a very good way to kind of set your family up for life, and you're guaranteed all this money regardless of how you perform for the rest of your career. But if he does it 2 years in a row, it's kind of one of those things where his agent's like, all right, let's wait a minute. Let's get the free agency and kind of test the waters and see how much money we really can get. So, yes, it is a gamble from the Rays' perspective. Like, you got to understand that he could just completely plummet and drop off the face of the earth. That could happen. Do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily, because he's doing this at 20. So I think when he's at 25, 26, and he's in his physical prime and he's in his big league prime in 5-6 years, he's going to be worth a hell of a lot more money than we can pay him. So I think that getting that extension out of the way, first of all, is needed to be done. Back to what I was saying, though, Marte is under contract or club control with the Diamondbacks for a couple more years, and we're not going to be able to pay Brandon Lau if he puts up another year like he did, and I still don't think we're going to be able to pay him regardless. So, let alone he is one of the worst defensive second basemen in baseball, but I don't care if you can play defense at second base. I want you to hit 38 home runs and drive in 100, get 100 RBIs. That's what I want. And I want you to hit 265, 270. That's what I want you to do at second base. Defense, I don't really care if you can play defense at second base. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with that. But those are the positions where you primarily want a hitter before. If Taylor Walls was a primary second baseman, that guy would not be on a big league roster. And the reason, this is no knock at Taylor Walls. I went to Florida State. He went to Florida State. Great guy. Met him before. He used to come and train all the time. Him, Mendoza, all those guys would come to Tallahassee. Great guy. Love Taylor Walls. If he was a primary second baseman, he wouldn't be on a big league roster. And the reason why I say this is because shortstop is such a star position and such a plus position that you will take at bats and RBIs and home runs away from a shortstop. If he's a plus defender like Walls is, he should have won the Gold Glove this year, but I'll digress at a later date for that. But if he was a primary second baseman, he's not on a big league roster. And I say that confidently with second base defense isn't a plus need for any organization. You need a second baseman that's going to hit. That's how you see a DJ LeMahieu. That's a Robinson Cano is kind of an outlier. That guy was nuts. So is Brandon Phillips. But like what to my point is, you take the plus bat over a glove at second base every single day of the week. And what I'm kind of trying to get at here is that you're not going to be able to pay Lau, and we need to get something for him now. And I understand that Boz and Lau for a player, for Rays fans, is kind of like, oh, wow, why didn't we just get Aaron Judge with that? I think people got to kind of understand that Shane Boz isn't the plus player realistically. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. He's not kind of the plus player that we thought he was going to be after he came back from injury and once we got him from Pittsburgh in the Archer trade. So I think people kind of have to lower their expectations for a return for Boz and what that's going to look like. I really don't want to get rid of Pepio any means. I think that he is too good, and I think that for what we're paying him, he has been fantastic, and I think that we should keep him, and I don't think we should do anything with him. I'll get that out of the way to start off with anything about him. But Boz, I think that's kind of one of those names that we're going to see move, and I think that the combination of Boz and Lau for Ketel Marte is a win-win in every category for both teams. They get their starting pitching. They replace with a second baseman that's only getting paid $11 million a year. And we get Ketel Marte, who's a superstar name. He can play anywhere on the field. He's a switch hitter. There's not much more to ask for from a player. And I think from that perspective and that trade would do numbers for us. And I think that we should seriously look into doing something like this. And I think that if we can get that done, I think that's a complete lineup change. And I think if you get Ketel Marte for those two players, I think that Brandon Lau is not necessarily saying put in the back burner and kind of forgotten about, but the loss of Brandon Lau would hurt so much less for a return like Ketel Marte. He's cheap. He's under contract, under control for a while. He can play anywhere. He's got a fantastic bat. I would argue and say that he's a better hitter than Brandon Lau. That's an argument up for debate, but that's what I think. So you guys let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. And I truly do think that if we get Ketel Marte, I think that would just do numbers for this team. And especially if we could do that and or get Yunier Diaz from the Astros for Boz, I think that would in turn do numbers as well for this lineup and heading into the 2026 season. So you guys let me know what you guys think, especially about the whole Boz scenario. And again, I know I've asked this question multiple times, Marte as well. So you guys let me know what you guys think, and you guys have a great one.